to my fellow freeloaders, sovereign thinkers. This is All Three News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful Swampy Mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Monday, August 21st, 2017. People are just itching for the solar eclipse to hit. It's supposed to be around, starting like 12:26 Eastern Time and all that. So be safe. I'll check it out myself. In addition, I'm at CJ's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, Suite 1, along New River, Fort Lauderdale, in the Yacht Club building, right along the southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. Yeah, it's Mellowed Mondays, I'll call it. Kind of relax, just be keen. This time a little bit jacked up last few weeks because principles. Never let passion supersede logic. Even a person like myself, I can exhibit myself better at times. But it's okay. That's what being a human being is all about. But trying to get too overboard, alright? Still gotta live, still gotta stay focused and be vigilant wherever you're at. Cool. So I decided to just do a few here. Yeah, one came out, three quotes. So I'd take viewpoints. That would be the best thing. And this one here is from Bob Livingston. It's entitled, "I am not a number, I am a man." As it reads, the United States of America is a world leader for invading your privacy. No other country, past or present, even comes close. This absolutely includes Nazi Germany. Not many Americans really know this. The reason is that the government itself keeps a low profile on its invasion of your privacy. This is a modern phase of psychological warfare developed since World War II. For example, when new laws are enacted that further invade your privacy and restrict your liberty, they always, without exception, give titles to the laws that deceive you into thinking the new law is for your benefit. People never read the new law, only the misleading title. A la the Patriot Act, a la the Freedom Act, a la the Affordable Care Act. The titles may sound pretty, but the fine print, disturbing. That's my quote. Privacy is directly linked to a personal survival. You can't survive, you can't be private while being totally dependent on the system. A dependent person are a compliant people. Governments must destroy the identity of the individual and subvert him to the mass conscience and controlled by the state. But this must be done gradually. Gradualism is the key. New privacy-stealing technologies become ubiquitous in much the same way. They are promoted and promised to you as a means of simplifying our lives. But when we look behind the curtain, we see not only that we do fail to do so, but they work in concert with the government's efforts to steal more of our privacy. Consider new technology being used by a Wisconsin company. The company is implanting radio frequency identification or microchips, RFID, into the hands of its employees that will allow them to open doors, purchase food, and operate company computers, company machines, and telephones. Probably getting their cues from the Mexican government. We foresee the use of RFID technology to drive everything from making purchases in our office break room market, opening doors, use of copy machines, logging into our office computers, unlocking phones, sharing business cards, storing medical health information as used as payment at other RFID terminals. CEO Todd Westby said in the company statement, eventually this technology will become standardized, allowing you to use as your passport, public transit, all purchasing opportunities, etc. Westby says employers are not required to get microchipped and there is no GPS tracking. I would add the word yet. This is a trial run for something the government will embrace. This reminds me of something I wrote for the Bob Livingston letter in August 1999. I am not a number, I am a man, spoke the prisoner, played by Patrick McGowan in the popular series first aired on public television in the late 1960s. McGowan played a British agent who has immediately kidnapped and removed to what appeared to be an island. He was given a number, 7, which he abhorred as any free man would. A number identification is much more than a stigma. It's a practical tracking and control machine. In 1935, the U.S. government assigned 9-digit Social Security numbers to each participant. Its promise restricted, limited, and classified use of the numbers for Social Security purposes only. Then it has become virtually impossible to get a job, driver's license, private health insurance, school enrollment, credit, communication with government agencies, etc. without such a number or without sharing this number with any number of government agencies and corporations. The IRS has even demanded Social Security numbers for each child claimed as exemption in tax returns. Social Security number has become a national and state identification number. Social Security experts call this hacking of the Social Security number function creep. Instead of using it for the original purpose, the government has expanded it for all sorts of things. Since information is confidential, only the government decides it's not. The government can never be trusted with information. Remember, government means control of the mind. The government is expanding its use of information collection in nefarious ways. Consider automated toll collection. Temptation of convenience has caused many drivers to accept markers and numbers placed on their windshields or license plates. A sensor at the tool both scan the marker and as the driver hurries by with the time, date, time, car owner, and toll price recorded in the database for later billing. In New Jersey, videotape records and stores the license plate of each vehicle. Police and prosecutors are now using this data to track the movement of citizens. The president was set in New York, where a judge permitted the police to have access to the Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority database in their quest to locate a murderer. Security experts now say that it is not only a matter of time before civil suit litigants, suspicious spouses and divorces, stalkers acting under color law, etc., likewise gain access. Fundamentalists and end-time fearmongers have long posed the existence of body implant numbers on computer chips as sort of a latter-day 666 beast of revelation. The technocrats of the New World Order have got them one better. They use computer scans to identify people according to their fingerprints, thumbprints, hand shapes, iris patterns, retinas, faces, signatures, voices, arm veins, and even body odors. It is a new science called biometrics. Biometrics are used to identify users of airports, cruise ships, customs, daycare centers, casinos, banks, and credit agencies, sperm banks, and even Disney World. The body parts will eventually scan, and the bioscan images traded and sold among government agencies and corporations as a preferred identifying marker to street addresses. The National Security Agency, responsible under the National Security Director Samuel Berger for the transfer of weapons secrets to the Communist Party of China in exchange to Clinton-Gore Democratic Party campaign cash, is now working to expand the biometrics market. State agencies hope to use the program for welfare identification. The apparent precedent for expanded use of biometrics by government is the Welfare Reform Act of 1996. Beautiful title, but the fine print blows. Which created a database for tracking deadbeat parents who fail to pay child support. Employers are notified of the deadbeats which automatically withhold support payments. New law requires all employers to provide quarterly wage and unemployment amounts for every worker, whether they are deadbeat parents or even parents at all. The IRS is now demanding access to this database to help collect its alleged taxes. Since government and police employees have legally provided database information to anyone for a price, it is only a matter of time before they use this database the same way. Steve Dasbach, director of the Libertarian Party, says, National Director of the Libertarian Party says, the government has become so large and intrusive that soon our only protection may be the information that it doesn't have. If politicians cared at all about privacy, they would abolish databases rather than create new ones. Fat chance. The best alternative is to keep as much information as you can private and try not to give the government and corporations new information. A fundamental of rule of freedom is less the government knows about you, the better. Never think otherwise, not even for a few seconds. It takes you to relinquish that freedom by becoming a number. We already microchip our pets. Some people with dementia and mental handicaps are being microchipped in America in order to keep a track of them. Locator chips are being sold that can attach to children's clothing. The idea of microchipping infants at birth can't be far behind. Of course, it will be couched as all are liberty-stealing laws for the safety of the child in case he's abducted. The move of convert everything into a digital fingerprint has been public policy for some time. It includes a move to a cashless society as part of it, and even includes such things as electronic books and your medical records. This technology is ready. Once installed, government will know everywhere you've been, everything you've done, everyone you've spoken to, everything you've purchased, and everything you search for on your computer. You will no longer be a number, just a digital fingerprint. Well, one of the main things I can tell you, my friends, I would always recommend this. Always shop local, use cash, drive the system crazy. Remember, every high tech has a flaw. We have the minds that can really be very so complex. And all these little gadgets they have has a flaw. So never leave all your eggs in one basket. I beseech that to every one of you out there. I am not a number. I am a man. I am a freedom-loving, sovereign-thinking individual. And everyone out there are the same. Doesn't matter what you look like, what your gender is, etc. You're your own person. Don't let them bamboozle you. That's why a lot of folks on Facebook, I see them, you put their diary in there about their life. Very unhealthy. So, always utilize the enemy's tools. It will be one thing you gotta look at. And the fact is, too, my friends, we've always gotta be, on top of things. So, that is essential. Keep yourselves on your toes. Learn medical stuff. You have to deliver a baby. That's good to know. So, it's one thing for sure. There's more of us than them. Don't fall for their traps. Okay. Next one here came from Michael Meharry. That's his website, michaelmeharry.com. He's a World 10th Amendment Center, Philosophy of Liberty. Liberal case for absolute freedom of expression. Should society tolerate intolerance? Increasingly, many say no. A meme making its round on social based on open society and its enemies by philosopher Karl R. Popper argues that a tolerant society cannot be tolerated intolerance. It features a cartoon image of a giant foot kicking a Nazi in the rear. Any moment that preaches intolerance and persecution must be outside of the law. As paradoxical as it may seem, defending tolerance requires not to tolerate the intolerant. The underlying message seems to be that those who engage in intolerant speech should be stopped. with force if necessary. In other words, we must crush certain unacceptable points of view. It remains unclear how the power should define intolerance or the particular ideas that society should deem verboten. Ironically, the left seems most married to this paradoxical narrative of intolerant tolerance. At one time, liberals championed free speech and expression. No more. With cultural Marxism driving left-wing progressivism, stiffing offensive speech by hook or crook has become the order of the day. Some even deem physical violence an acceptable means of stopping unapproved expression. Despite the emotional appeals of the thought police and their shallow justification for violent suppression of certain ideas, the case of unbridled free expression remains compelling. In fact, any quest for truth requires it. To limit free expression is to potentially bear the truth and mire society in an endless cycle of bounty. In his seminal work on liberty, John Stuart Mill laid out the liberal case for absolute free speech based on 4 key points. We have now recognized the necessity to the mental well-being of mankind on which at all other well-being dependent, of freedom of opinion and freedom of expression of opinion on 4 distinct grounds, which we will now briefly recapitulate. First, if any opinion is compelled to silence, that opinion may, for aught we can certainly know, be true. To deny this to assume our own infallibility. Secondly, through the silenced opinion being an error, it may, and very commonly does, contain a portion of truth. And since the general of prevailing opinion on any subject is rarely or never hold the truth, it is the only collision of adverse opinions that the remainder of the truth has any chance of being supplied. Thirdly, even if the received opinion be not only true, but the whole truth, unless it is suffered to be, and actual is, vigorously and earnestly contested, it will, by the most of those who receive it, be held in a matter of prejudice, with little comprehension or feeling of its rational grounds. Not only this, fourthly, but meaning of the doctrine itself will be danger of being lost, or enfeebled and deprived of its vital effect on the character and conduct. The dogma becoming a mere formal profession, infectious for good, but covering the ground and preventing the growth of any real and heartfelt conviction from reason or personal experience. If we care about truth, society must uphold the absolute right of freedom of expression. Even the most obnoxious, disgusting, and vile views illuminate and strengthen the truth. If an individual or group takes action that physically harms a person on their property based on an idea, society should punish the violent act, not the idea. Here is the whole paradox of tolerance. It's something to think about. Open society for enemies. Person is, Harry's right. Freedom is the way to fight it, not the other way around. If you censor, beat up people, the tyrants win. It inspires them to get stronger, more recruits. James Madison made a statement on the First Amendment. I'd like to thank John Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute for bringing us up, stating that the First Amendment protects the minority over the majority. That means it protects everybody, popular or not. If you deprive it, and lobby or petition to censor it, you become the freedom hater, if you know it or not. So always think before your actions and learn before acceptance, and make their own decision. Alright. Let me see here. Boop. Be back in a moment. Cool. So we're gonna do one more here. And it's from LouRockwell.com. Charlottesville, Moral, Equivalence, and Donald Trump by Walter E. Block. Came out today. In the aftermath of the brouhaha in Charlottesville, Donald Trump gave three reactions. First, he condemned all sides of the violence, but he was met with such a screech of reaction from the mainstream media for his moral equivalence. And this second go-around, he pretty much, although not exactly, singled out the alt-right for its special commendation. But at the third time, at bat, he reserved field for not mingling football and baseball metaphors. I just couldn't help myself and again return to a more even-handed stance, censoring both sides and all extremists. What are we to make for this towing and froing? Before we step into this landmine, we must clear away a bit of brush. There are really two issues here. They are very different, but they have often been conflated. On the hand is the question of who is primarily responsible for the violence that ensued. On the other hand, it's the issue of which side deserves more commendation, the alt-right or the alt-left. We can answer the former purely as social science, the latter as libertarians. 1. Responsibility for violence. So which side is most blameworthy for the fighting? This is an easy one. It is the alt-left. Proof. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in 1997, there was a neo-Nazi march in Skokie, Illinois. That town was comprised to a large extent not only people of Jewish faith, but many who had personally experienced the horrors of the Holocaust. Was there any violence on that occasion? To answer it, there was not. Why not? Because in them, that faraway days at the alt-left had not yet begun the pattern of intimidation of the sorts suffered by Charles Murray, Ann Coulter, Milo Yiannopoulos, and other conservatives and libertarians. And not only them, the Antifa has made a habit of protesting with the use of violence, pretty much any and all verbal or other manifestations which they disagree. Had the alt-left stayed away from Charlottesville totally and completely on the day of the march, the most uncertain presumption is that there would have not been any violence committed. Not any more case, in any case that occurred in Skokie, the long ago 20th century. The unwarranted and horrid death of Heather Heyer could have been prevented. This is not an excuse, her cold-blooded murder, but this young woman would not have perished if she did not attempt to interfere with the free speech rights of others. Further, those two policemen who died in the helicopter accident would still be alive, as well as some dozen of other protesters would not have been hospitalized. Here's another big contrary to fact hypothetical history. If the neo-Nazis had been unarmed and thus at the mercy of their ideological enemies, some of them, many of them, would have been hospitalized, if not killed. Peter Bremlow wrote, "There will be blood" on Vidar, and the link is no longer available thanks to the ban of this periodical output, warning that violence of the left will be met by counter-violence on the right, and in the event no truer words were ever written. Before considering which side deserves more and more commendation, let us tip our hat to the ACLU. And don't forget to vote for this issue as well. They were the instrumental protecting the rights of neo-Nazis to march in Skokie 40 years ago, and courageously stuck to their guns in behalf of this group in Charlottesville this year. Free speech rights, they correctly assert, belong to all, no matter how dubious or obnoxious the message. And I might add, there are few more odious or obnoxious message emanating from any other group other than the neo-Nazi KKK alt-out. Interesting. And like I said, I've been saying this for the entire week as well. 2. Moral condemnation. The heroes of the neo-Nazis are, of course, the National Socialists. Those of Antifa are the Communists or the International Socialists. When the Communists and Nazis are at odds with one another, how is the libertarians to react? One possibly is to support both groups in the hope that they will each reduce the power of the other and thereby their own. Both are 180 degrees removed from the freedom philosophy. However, if finer distinctions are called for, we know that the communists murdered far more innocent people than did the Nazis. Mao, some 60 million, Stalin, roughly 20 million, Pol Pot, about 3 million, Hitler only estimated 11 million. Well, to be very sincere, I would like to add this. Accordance with R.J. Rummel, Death by Government, it was roughly 20.5, like 20.5 million, I would say. Close to like a little over 20.5 million. So let's give you an example. And Stalin killed like maybe 25, so very similar. I'll just continue on here. So we absolutely had to pick and choose. No such choice is incumbent upon us. And the nod goes to the goal. Nazis. Then too, the communists had far more encompassing theory that their fellow socialist counterparts. As long as you are not a Jew or black or gay or Romani and did not oppose them, the Nazis would leave you more or less in peace. The same cannot be said for the communists. So I agree with the critics of Trump for his call, moral equivalence. For the libertarian, the case for moral equivalence is weak. The left is more bitterly opposed than is the right. Libertarians, of course, are neither the right nor the left. We are unique. We maintain that initiation of violence from whatever source, no exceptions, is unlawful, uncivilized. Apart from the numbers of innocents murdered we see above, we take equal exception to the right wing, National Socialists, and to the left wing, International Socialists. As to the alt-left and the alt-right, pale carbon copies of both, we abjure both. Equally, we libertarians simply have no dog in this fight between the two of them. What of the cry, some of the Charlottesville marchers? The Jews will not replace us. I am Jewish. I am not a practicing Jew, but for all that, when and if hards, the Nazis make a resurgence here or anywhere else on the planet, I and my family presumably will be on their list, naturally then purely out of self-interest. I cannot hope bearing a special animosity towards this group. I may be a member of the vermin, but I'm a proud vermin. For alternate views, view this phrase, the Jew not replace us. There's a link for that. And yet, I cannot hope but know that most of my fellow co-religionists are socialists of the international and not national variety, with the honorable exception of such intimate Jews as Ludwig von Mises, Murray N. Hubbard, Milton Friedman, but a paltry few score others. Chartism, by and large, are another exception. Members of this community overwhelmingly support the Democratic Party. They are disproportionately overrepresented among Hollywood and the mainstream media and other institutions intended on undermining the deplorables. This is not an excuse to their anti-Jewish animosity, but we cannot even understand them. We are far less able to deal with them. Interesting synopsis by Mr. Brock. And I do have to say, the fight, hatred, is to preserve freedom. Defend it with our Bill of Rights culture. That's what the late Aaron Zellman said in the Liberty Crew from the JPFO on September 14, 2001. That's the way to do it. Not curtail it, not sacrifice it, or forfeit it. which is irrelevant, illegal, unconstitutional, or absolutely treasonous. And I say that out of respect. And you're talking to an individual that's not a big Trump worshiper, and I know I've been saying it a few times, but for my first-time viewers, I'm not going to bash somebody. If I'm critical, I will have merit. And Trump was right. And I know how these pathetic minions of the mainstream media wanted to crucify him for it. You know what? You're the cowards. Michael Sagner, from the Charlottesville, mayor from Charlottesville, tried to be manly about criticizing Trump, blaming him for the disturbance. He's weak and pathetic. And to be all due respect, his testicles are in his mouth. He's not manly. He's less of a man than Benedict Arnold would ever be. That's all I gotta say in that area, including the Virginia Trey McAuliffe. All right, he should be held accountable as well. The blood is on his hands of Heather Heyer, and there's some Yahoo from Nick Cohen did kind of articles of impeachment on President Trump because of what happened in Charlottesville. He's another weak, pathetic stooge, or in other words, a Gino, a Jew in name only. A fraud, a jack-lantern, unmeritable. He's a freedom hater too. Not I'm saying President Trump is a freedom guy, but witch hunting is for the weak and the pathetic, and they're totally unacceptable. If you be around individuals that have those fetishes or manifestations, avoid them like a plague at all costs. I want to make this really clear. Governor Katie Brown signed that law, SB 791A, I think it is, or 729A. I'm looking through my footnotes here. Yeah, 719A. That's the name of the bill. Was the whole thing is to take people farms away if they're considered mentally disabled and all that. She hasn't read her Constitution. She breached her oath of office. And in Oregon, like I said before in my past episode, you can recall her in all those treasonous quacks for breaching her oath of office under Article 4, Section 9. I'm just gonna look at my little notes here. Always keep these handy because I don't want to assume. Try to always have things documented. It's in my blood. Yeah, Article 4, Section 31. And you do a recall under Article 2, Section 18 of your state constitution. That's in Oregon. So that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you something that's interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. You can keep me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, or Patreon.com/LuckyLux3 if you want to be a patron or a supporter and all that good stuff. That'd be great. Hey, I got nothing yet, but please, that'd be awesome. In addition, you can email me at LuckyLuck3@gmail.com, which is number 3, or to you ones who are being encrypted folks, LuckyLuck number 03@protonmail.com. All right, my friends, thank you for your time. I'd like to thank Liz from CJ Java Lounge for putting up with me all this time. Good folks, good people here. Give them a little love, all right? Support the mom and pop shops. All right, my friends, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.